Mark Rogers TV back with you on SEC Football Media Days, Day 2. And if you go to the opening day and check out the podium presence and the delivery of Derek Mason in his first year at Vanderbilt, not knocking the coach, but you see a big difference between his delivery, his poise, the anxiousness, the nervousness, not knowing exactly what to say, and then the calm, cool, collected demeanor of Kevin Sumlin of Texas A&M. Third year Texas A&M, 20 wins in 2 seasons, probably adds to that confidence that he brings to the podium. Maybe not so much 2 years ago when Texas A&M was supposed to be beaten down and trampled by the big bad SEC, but a guy named Johnny Manziel kind of helped Sumlin acclimate his program to the SEC, and of course 11-2 followed by 9-4 this past season despite a horrendous defense. That cannot be overstated. And Kevin Sumlin now is the chic guy, not just in the SEC. He is the chic commodity in college football coaching. His Texas A&M program has taken over the state of Texas, which is not easy to do. It's easy to forget that Texas is a brand name in college football. They are right there. Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, USC, Oklahoma, Texas. Those are the blue bloods. And Texas A&M owns that state now. Texas cannot get the top recruits in its own state, much of to do with Johnny Football, but also the coaching and the swag of Kevin Sumlin. And we saw it on display at the podium at the SEC Football Media Days. So a couple of the big topics that came up. Sumlin wanted to capitalize on the moment and talk about the brand of Texas A&M, talk about the facility upgrades, sell his school, sell his program, sell his brand of football, the high-tempo, high-scoring, fun offense to anybody listening out there. But he talked about the facilities. He talked about the upgrades to Kyle Field and then now Texas A&M. He didn't want to say is beyond everybody else, has eclipsed everyone else in regards to facilities and glitz and glamour and money and resources. But at one point, he talked about being as good as anybody else, and then he followed that up by saying we've kind of separated ourselves. So Texas A&M is got it all going right now. He's brought in 2 top 10 recruiting classes, including the 4th ranked recruiting class in 2014. What are we going to see, though, on the field this fall? I don't know that they're going to compete for an SEC championship. So despite what Johnny Football accomplished, he did not win the SEC. Sumlin has yet to win the SEC. This is just his 3rd season. And again, for a school that was winning 6, 7, 8 football games most of the time for the past decade in the Big 12, which is not as good as the SEC, to come in and win 20 games in 2 years and go, 6-2 his first year and 4-4. So 10-6 is a very solid showing in the SEC, but it's not like they lit it up in conference play, especially this past season, because the defense really let them down. What is this defense going to be like? Before we talk quarterback, let's talk defense and just in general, looking at players that need to step up all over the place. They've got to find a pass rush. They've got to find guys in the secondary that are not going to blow coverages, that are going to show some willingness to tackle. That's what this conference is all about. More so than scheme and tricking people and mismatches, it's about will to win. It's about the tenacity and the desire to gut it out in the 4th quarter. And when it's going to hurt, you stick your nose in there, you stick your shoulder in there, and you make the big hit to stop a big play or prevent a big play or make the hit in the hole and come up. If you're a cornerback or a safety, despite being outweighed by 55 or 60 pounds, making the hit to make the stop that your team needs to do to stop a drive late in the game. Texas A&M hasn't shown that kind of will on defense. Little Duke, and they achieved so much this past season, but we saw what Duke could do against Florida State, which was nothing. Against Texas A&M, they played school backyard football. They racked up 38 points in the first half. It was embarrassing to watch the Aggies on defense this entire 2013 season. They were bad in 2012, but they got even worse. This has to stop. Kevin Sumlin's got to figure some things out, and his defensive staff in particular. You could tell that he wasn't committed to a defensive improvement, substantial defensive improvement. It's got to improve. They can't get any worse. But he was not committed or going to guarantee a significant defensive improvement this fall. You could tell that he loves some players. He loves what he's done in these recruiting classes, but those upperclassmen, I don't think, impress Kevin Sumlin, and he does not have faith in the guys that he didn't recruit on defense. He has faith and he has high hopes for those guys that they've recruited the last 2 years, but what kind of an impact are they going to make? They're going to see the field. Those freshmen and sophomores, especially that sophomore class, his first big recruiting class, they're going to see the field. I don't know if he feels like they're going to make an impact to the extent of vying for an SEC Western Division championship this season. All right, he said right off the bat, excuse me, that he was not going to talk about the quarterback situation. He was not going to certainly talk about Johnny Manziel because there were questions galore about Manziel and his issues in Cleveland, or supposed issues with the Browns. Someone said, last I checked, let's see, SEC Football Media Days. Go talk to the Cleveland Browns. Rightfully so. Kevin Sumlin wouldn't talk about Manziel specifically, although he gave us some hints that they tweaked the offense to play to his strengths, and they'll be willing to do that down the road for most likely Kyle Allen, or some people think that Kenny Hill is going to win this job this season, although all indications are that Allen, the true freshman who was an early enrollee, is going to win the job and that opening assignment against South Carolina. Sumlin wouldn't say a whole lot about the quarterbacks. I was disappointed. He did open up on a few subjects, but not typically involving his personnel and his football team. He'll talk about all sorts of things. He'll talk about his background, how he has matured and developed as a football coach, his stints at Oklahoma, Purdue, his head coaching stint, of course, at the University of Houston as well. He'll talk about that. Didn't want to talk about personnel and didn't really size up the quarterback competition between Allen and Hill. So we'll have to keep an eye on fall practice as much as we possibly can to anticipate who's going to get that call in Columbia, South Carolina, against a very strong South Carolina defense. All right, Texas A&M fans, Kevin Sumlin at the podium. Let us know what you think about his remarks, anything in particular that really stood out to you, the quarterback situation, and that defense. Can you be like the 10th best defense in the SEC this year and give your offense a chance? And with a brutal schedule, got to play South Carolina and Missouri out of the Eastern Division this season. All right, Aggie Nation, let us know what you think right here on Mark Rogers TV.